Education is the most empowering thing you can give to a young child within Africa. But the question is, what kind of education? Quality education and history is an integral part of that. History from the African point of view allows you to have self-respect, reclaim your identity, and also helps you to assert yourself on the social, political, and cultural agenda today. Pan-Africanism is an ideology that accepts and supports African solidarity worldwide. It stresses on the fact that our unity as Africa is not just within the continent, but as well as the diasporas. Pan-Africanism is a vital part of our economic, social, and political progress in terms of the continent's survival. Its advocates include leaders such as Haile Selassie, Julius Nyerere, Kwame Nkrumah, Dr. William Edward Bogda Dubois, just to mention a few. Dr. William Edward Bogda Dubois was a US-born sociologist and a civil rights activist. Born in 1868, he is viewed as the father of Pan-African movement. He led the first Pan-African conferences and Africa independence. He was part of the first black militant organization in the state, that is, the Niagara Movement, which later gave birth to the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, formed in 1909. Dubois' work inspired a generation of like-minded African leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, who led the nation of Ghana to independence in 1957.
My name is Patience. Welcome to W.E.B. Du Bois Center for Pan-African Culture. This was the home of Dr. William Edward Bogda Dubois when he came to Ghana in 1961 by the invitation of our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, to assist with an encyclopedia, which was to be the Dictionary of African Biography. This center is under the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Arts. The center seeks to promote the intellectual legacy of Dr. William Edward Bogda Dubois. He also serves as a research center for Pan-African culture. The center is situated at Cantonment, Accra, Ghana. This house was given to him by our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, when Dr. Dubois came to Ghana in 1961 with his second wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Dubois. And so they lived here till he died here in this house in 1963 on the 27th of August. When he died, his wife kept living in the house till later in 1966 when our first president was overthrown by a coup. And so later in 1985, the center was established in June as a tribute to him and also serve as a research center for Pan-African culture. Where we are now is actually the Museum of the Dubois, is the home of the Dubois, and then we'll go to the mausoleum as well. We have administration, we have a guest house here at the center, a restaurant and art shops also on the premises.
In the little town of Bethlehem, God deemed it fit to bring forth a great Savior. And so, in some way today, in the little town in South Nigeria, Delta State, Sapele, God deems it fit to dwell mightily in the midst of his people.
I'm a doctor by profession. While attending to the patients, some hoodlums came in with gun and immediately carried me from my consulting room.
I couldn't go to school. I was always sick. Sometimes I couldn't even go to church. Sometimes I would stay in the hospital for the whole school term, for a whole term.
Just closer to my office, somehow I discovered that I was losing my consciousness. I was losing my balance.
You were bathing your children, and with your physical eyes, I want to believe God opened your eyes to see them.
Exactly.
And then you saw arrows coming towards you, two of them.
Two of them, yes, ma'am. And the first one came directly to my chest and hit my chest. And I shouted, Jesus. I started speaking in tongues inside the bedroom.
When the healing invitation came, I received my healing. I was there jumping. What I could not do, I was doing.
At the end of the day, one way or the other, I got a boat that they paddled me and took me to a place where I actually was airbound with the military.
2 days later, after he was released, the kidnappers were all arrested.
And today you testify on a global stage, telling the world that indeed the word of God does work. We bring to you very interesting and beautiful workings of our God and our King.
So this is the museum of the Du Boises. We have their home. We have his porch here, which is now being used as our reception. In there, up there, we'll see a picture of Dr. Du Bois and second wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois, standing right here in the porch in 1963. Then we'll move on to his living room. Here we have with him as our Pan-African gallery. In here we have pictures of Dr. Du Bois and that of his family here as well. It's a Pan-African center, so we celebrate all Africanists here at the center. So you can see we have a Nigerian flag here at the Boas Center, meaning that the Pan-Africanism also institutes the whole of Africa, and so we give contribution to all African countries as well. We also have on my left the guest room of the Du Boises, which we term as public reference library now. In here, we have 4,000 books that were donated to the center, since Dr. Du Bois believes so much in education for Black people. Just like Mandela said, education is the tool for us to solve most of the problems we see around us. The center felt then we should have this year for public to have access to all these books that were donated to the center. All the books in here are by Black authors. So we have here pictures of all Black people who contributed one way or the other for the betterment of the Black race here in Africa and also in the diaspora. We have Wale Soyinka from Nigeria, who is still part of the Encyclopedia Africana project. And then we have Edward Wilden Blyden, who was also a nationalist and also a political activist.
Women who also contributed to the abolition of the slave trade are also celebrated at the Boas Center, which is a Pan-African center.
Okay, so we still have more pictures of Pan-Africanists who were very much involved in the Pan-African movement here in Africa and also in the diaspora. We have here the living room of the Du Boises. We have his original kitchen cabinet, which has been here from the 1960s. This space used to be the dining area of the Du Boises, but since our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, used to bring in other dignitaries to dine with him here in the house, it became too small, and so they extended this part to the building to be used as the dining area. Now the center uses the space as a small seminar hall for meetings. In here we have an exhibition from the Colombian embassy, and they are here to educate us about connection Ghana has to Colombia in terms of gold. So apart from the slavery that served as a link between Ghana and Colombia, slaves were taken from West Africa to the southern part of America. After research, they realized that the history behind gold pieces in Colombia is similar to that of Ghana, and so they brought it here to educate us all about it, since we have lots of tourists coming to Du Bois Center for tours. So we'll move into Dr. Du Bois's personal library, which is here. You come with me. We have here a picture of Dr. Du Bois, and then a picture of his first wife, Mrs. Nina Goma Du Bois. The picture of his second wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois, also we have it here. Mrs. Nina Goma died in the state in 1950, and then in 1951, Dr. Du Bois got married to the second wife. So he actually came to Ghana with his second wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois. Okay, so we have on the wall a poem Dr. Du Bois wrote, one of his poems. He was also a poet, so this is one of his poems that he dedicated to our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and he titled the poem Ghana Calls. And then he talked about the need, for us Black people to identify ourselves with our very own people.
On the wall, we have pictures of other Pan-Africanists. We have here Marcus Garvey from Jamaica, Booker T. Washington from Southwest Virginia, Martin Luther King from Atlanta, Georgia, Malcolm X from Omaha, Nebraska, and so on. We also have here the pictures of African leaders. We call them the first leaders of Africa. We have Nelson Mandela from South Africa, Jomo Kenyatta from Kenya, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, and Patrice Emery Lumumba from Congo.
Okay, so in here is the personal library of Dr. Du Bois. This library had been here since 1961. We have here a collection of books that were used by him on various disciplines. In here we have 1,500 books that Dr. Du Bois brought with him from the States. All these books were used by him on various disciplines. And here we have collection of his own works as well. He has over 1,900 published works. We have collection of his poems. We have collection of his own books. And then we have some of the collection of his wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois. Here we have his final year dissertation from Harvard, The Suppression of African Slave Trade to the United States of America. We have The Source of Black Folks, is a book he wrote in 1903, a book he's very much known for. We have The In Battle for Peace, is a book he used to give out as gift to people who come to visit him right here in the house. Dr. Du Bois made a statement that to get people to do things, more times we don't instruct them, but you as an individual will have to start acting it for the people to imitate. So since he believes so much in education for black people, he was giving out the books to them when they come to visit him right here in the house, so that they will come to the understanding that education was the key, like Mandela said, for us to solve most of the problems we see around us. There we have Color and Democracy, we have the Philadelphia Negro, we have Black Reconstruction, and then a couple of his wife's books also down here as well.
On May 12, 1896, Dr. Du Bois got married to his first wife, Nina Goma, one of the students of the Wilberforce University in Ohio, where he was teaching. They had their first child, Bogdad Goma Du Bois, in October 2nd, 1897, who died in May 1899 after contracting a disease called diphtheria. On October 21st, 1900, Dr. Du Bois and Nina Goma gave birth to another child, Yolanda Du Bois. Yolanda was described as a self-indulgent, underachieving, and chronically overweight, and was often an ill child. His first wife, Nina Goma Du Bois, died on June 26, 1950, at the 80th year of her life and the 55th year of their marriage. In 1951, Dr. Du Bois married his second wife, Shirley Graham, who was an American author, playwright, composer, and activist for African Americans and other causes. She won the Messner and the Anisfeld Wolf Awards for her works.
Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois was appointed as the director for Ghana Broadcasting Authority here in Ghana. Now it's Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. And so this was actually a bedroom that was converted into an office space for his wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois. We have on the table a pictorial biography of the Du Boises. This was a book that was written by her while in Egypt. Mrs. Shirley died 14 years after Dr. Du Bois died. So when Dr. died, she was still in the house till later when our first president was overthrown, before she moved out of Ghana to Egypt. There in Egypt, she was working on the pictorial biography of the Du Boises. We also have here her yearbook from Oberlin University, 1935. So last July, the Oberlin University was here at the center to unveil a plaque for her here. And so we'll move into the mausoleum, we'll see the plaque outside. Then we'll move to Dr. Du Bois's personal library. Also, we have the picture of Dr. Du Bois's mother right here. And that's a picture of his daughter, Yolande, second child with his first wife, Mrs. Nina Goma Du Bois. This is was the bedroom of Dr. William Edward Bogart Du Bois. He died here in his sleep on the 27th of August 1963. We have here a gift that was given to him by the Chinese Republic on his 91st birthday. On the 23rd of February 1959, it was declared a public holiday for Dr. Du Bois in China. He identified the problem of the 20th century being the color line, and so in his studies he came to the conclusion that capitalism in the state was giving rise for racism. And so at the latter part of his life, Dr. Du Bois became a communist, and he got close to the Communist Party in China, and so that's how come he was celebrated in China on his 91st birthday. So this tapestry plus the citation they were given to him as birthday gift. We also have here Dr. Du Bois's academic gowns and hoods. He was the first African American to earn a PhD in Harvard University in 1896. That's his academic gown here. And then he was also honored by the University of Ghana in 1963 here in Ghana. We have here volumes of the Encyclopedia Africana project Dr. Du Bois came to work on. These were the very 3 volumes he was working on before he passed. It was later published by the Secretariat under the Ministry of Education here in Ghana. We have a couple of professors who are still working on the encyclopedia as well, Soyinka and also Henry Gate, and then a couple of others as well. Also in the same glass case, Dr. Du Bois was given a Lenin Prize from Russia. Here is a picture of Dr. Du Bois and our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and then his wife, Mrs. Fathia Nkrumah. Here they were celebrating the 93rd birthday, 3rd birthday of Dr. Du Bois in February. So he celebrated his 93rd birthday in February before he died in at the age of 95 in August. Right, so still pictures of himself. We have picture of him and first wife and James Weldon Johnson, who wrote the Negro National Anthem.
Here in the glass case, we have Dr. Du Bois' personal items, such as his stamps, his own diary, some awards, and some gift items that he brought with him to Ghana. We also have the 7th annual report of the National Association for Advancement of Colored People.
We live in the museum of the Du Boises to the mausoleum, where we have the ashes of his wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois, and also the tomb of Dr. Du Bois. Initially, he was buried in a vault at the Christian Board Castle in Osu, which used to be our presidential seat. Now we have the Jubilee House as our presidential seat. So later, when the center was established in June 1985, they exhumed the body from the vault to the Du Bois Center. And so in there, we have the wife ashes, which was brought here from China in 1977 when his wife went there for treatment, and then she died out of breast cancer. And so the Chinese government brought the ashes of Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois also in the tomb. Here we have a plaque that was unveiled for Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois last July by the Oberlin University, which was her alma mater. And then we have here also a plaque for Dr. Du Bois. He was an Alpha Phi Alpha. It is actually a fraternity in the States. Okay, to the mausoleum of the Du Boises, like I said before, we have in there the ashes of his wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois, second wife actually, and then the tomb of Dr. Du Bois. This was brought here from the Osu Castle, where he was initially buried, and then in 1985 when the center was established, it was brought here. So he was given a state funeral, so we have the pictures of his funeral procession here on the wall, and then this was the vault in which Dr. Du Bois was buried. And then also we have here the ashes of his wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois. It was brought here from China when she went there for treatment, and she died there. Around him we have stools that were given to him as gifts by traditional leaders here in Ghana. In Ghana, stools depict authority and power, and since our first president looked up to him more of a mentor and a father, the people of Ghana also respected him as such, and so they gave these stools to him as gifts, also to show how much they respect and reverend Dr. Du Bois. We have have on his tomb wreaths that were laid on him during the Black History Month celebration here at the center in February, and then also the Emancipation Day, which is celebrated here in Ghana in 1st August. So the emancipation is actually the abolition of the chattel slavery. Also, with this celebration was started here in Ghana in 1998. And then we also have the Clark Atlanta, where Dr. Du Bois taught there. He taught at Atlanta University, a historically black college. Now is merged with Clark College, which is now Clark Atlanta University. And then the Oberlin University, where his wife, Mrs. Shirley Graham Du Bois, graduated from. So the ceiling of the gazebo is actually the web of a spider. It's part of our Ghanaian tradition. The spider, which is the Ananse, in all of his dealings exhibits wisdom. So we're covering Dr. Du Bois up with that to show that he was a great man of wisdom and intelligence, because in his 90s he was working on an encyclopedia for Ghana, for Africa actually, and so we believe that he was a great man of intelligence and wisdom. The Du Bois Center appreciate Dr. Du Bois so as Ghana and then the continent at large. One thing I always say, the Du Bois Center inspires people, especially black people in the diaspora and us here in Africa, to understand that this is all we have. Africa is all we have, and we have to come to the realization that until we start doing things for ourselves, nobody will ever do anything for us. Like my grandmother would say, you can only bring out what you have inside of you. So we'll have to love the continent Africa. Bob Marley said, it is for him, Africa is his heaven, because that's where he came from. If such people in the diaspora appreciate Africa, why are we not appreciating what we have here on the continent? One thing we also have to bear in mind is that whether a Nigerian, Burkinabe, a Ghanaian, Togolese, a South African, we are all Africans. And so when you see your brother, you see anybody from other country, we are all brothers and sisters. We should never hate on anybody. So on the premises of the Du Bois Center, we have a guest house. That's the Marcus Garvey guest house. Mostly those who come to do their research take rest there. And then we also have a restaurant, the Root Restaurant here on the premises. We also have the Diaspora for African Forum also here at the Du Bois Center, and then we have our art shops also outside the Du Bois premises as well. So moving to the Marcus Garvey guest house on the Du Bois Center premises is part of the center. This is situated for those who come to do their research, to have rest. Okay, so this is the sitting area of the guest house here, the Marcus Garvey guest house. Then to the various rooms within the guest house. Various rooms in the Marcus Garvey guest house is named after various Pan-Africanists in the diaspora and also in Africa as well. Here we have a Kofi Annan room here in the Marcus Garvey guest house on the Du Bois Center premises, and just recently we lost our great leader here in Ghana and then the continent at large. So we walk into the art shops here on the premises of the Du Bois Center for Pan-African culture. We have shops here on where we sell Ghanaian artifacts and also cultural objects. Since it's a Pan-African center, we try to promote everything Africa here at the Du Bois Center. So welcome to our very first shop here on the premises. We can see artworks, chains, beads work done here. These are all wooden artifacts that are done here at the Du Bois Center, and these are all on sale here at the Du Bois Center. The second shop, here we have a jewelry shop where we manufacture the jewelry here at the Du Bois Center. Everything is done here on the premises. We can see pictures, things in the glass case, and all these are done here at the Du Bois Center by a Ghanaian jewelry maker here at the Du Bois Center. The general video showcase what we do here at the WEB Du Bois Center for Pan-African Culture. We give you an invite to the center. It's not only about just coming to see as a tourist site, but it's an educational center where we educate our tourists about Pan-Africanism, the need for us to understand this in the 21st century, because we believe that Pan-Africanism brings in us patriotism. Until, like Dr. Marcus Garvey said, we bring ourselves to the point to understand who we are, who didn't know where we're going as Black people. So we give you an invite to the Du Bois Center for Pan-African Culture here. Thank you very much.